Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about how to book your Walt Disney World vacation. I will be doing it for a 2-week vacation, but obviously you can adapt it and change it how you like. This is going to be part 1 of a series of different things that you need to do when you're booking your trip. So this video is going to be just about booking your flights, booking your hotel, transfers and all those different things, and then the future parts will be booking your meals, fast passes, which park you're going to go to on which day, and what you're going to do at the parks on each day. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the rest of this series, which will be uploaded every Thursday for the next few weeks. Let's get into it. So the first thing you need to think about when you're planning your Walt Disney World vacation is who is going, how many people, how many adults, how many children. You also need to think about which dates you want to go and how long you want to go for, and also whether you're flexible with these dates. Sometimes if you book flights on a slightly different day, it can be like half the price. So usually we try and book our flights on a Tuesday because that always seems to be the cheapest day. But what I would say is if you have some flexibility when you're booking, change the flights around and see which day might be the cheapest. Especially if you're on a budget, you can save a lot of money doing it this way. Another thing to consider with flights is, do you want to fly direct or indirect? Now sometimes it is best to fly direct. You know, if it's an extra £40 or so, then you're like, well, I feel like that's worth it to save a few hours. Whereas sometimes it can literally be half the price if you're willing to stop somewhere. We went recently and it cost us £270 for flights both ways. Now if we had wanted to get direct flights, it would have cost maybe £500–600 each. So you can literally get it for half price, which is amazing. Obviously that does depend on, maybe if you're traveling with young children, it can be more complicated, but if you're with a group of teens and older, you should be fine to go on an indirect flight and stop over somewhere. Also, it means you can clear immigration if you're coming from outside of the US. It means you can clear immigration in your first stop, so when you arrive you can go straight through, which saves time there as well. Now flights usually come out 11 months before, so if you're thinking of planning your trip, you need to be looking around the time of 11 months. As soon as 11 months hits, you can start looking at the flight prices and see. Usually they will be cheaper in the beginning. The next thing to consider is accommodation. So do you want to stay on site on Disney property, or I guess Universal or any of the other resorts in the local Orlando area? Or do you want to stay off-site, maybe in a villa or a hotel that isn't owned by a specific company? Now, a lot of people go with, oh, it might be cheaper if we stay off-site. I personally have never stayed off-site, so I can't really say much about it. But what I do know is if you want to stay off-site and drive a car, it costs around $25 a day to park inside Walt Disney World. So you might be, oh, we're saving a lot of money. But if you have a big party and you have to rent 2 cars, or if you, I guess if you drive, then it's kind of different. You then have to pay $25 per car per day on your vacation to park your car in Walt Disney World. If you're going for 2 weeks and you have 2 cars, let's say, that comes out at $700. Wild. You know, you're definitely gonna, surely you're gonna save money. It might be a tiny bit more expensive, but also it's way more convenient. So I would definitely urge people to stay on site. From my experience, we haven't stayed off site, but every time we've stayed on site, it's been super easy. Another thing that comes with staying on site is you get the Magical Express from the airport, which is also free. So it means you don't have to faff about once you arrive. You go straight from the airport on a free shuttle to your hotel. If you are flying internally within the US, they will actually take your bags from the plane straight to your hotel room, so you don't even have to pick them up. But bear in mind, if you're coming internationally, you have to grab your bags yourself and take them onto the Magical Express. Something to bear in mind about the Magical Express, if you do decide to go for it, you have to confirm that you actually want to go on it, because obviously some people prefer to rent a car, so they don't just automatically assume that you will be taking the Magical Express. So I think you have to ring up the company and just say, yes, we do want our places on the Magical Express bus, and it is free. Another thing about staying off-site is if you are choosing to drive every day, which some people do, it's absolutely fine, but you have to consider that it means you have a lot less freedom. Now, if you stay in one of the Disney hotels, there are free buses all day, or there are boats from some resorts, the monorail and the Skyliner, but there are different methods of transportation around Walt Disney World, but it means that you can kind of come and go as you please. Say you had a party of 8 people and you had 2 16-year-olds, you had a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and the rest were all adults. Maybe the teenagers want to go back and swim in the pool at the hotel. Obviously they can't drive, they can't leave, but if you give them the freedom to go on the bus back to the hotel, it's completely safe, it's all within the Walt Disney World property, then they can do that. As well as if they're teens. For example, me, I'm only 19. Now I can drive here in the UK, but you have to be 25 to rent a car. So I won't be driving there anytime soon. So again, for me, it gives me a lot of freedom. If you're going away and say you're both 22, 23, you still can't drive. It means it's super easy. You can come and go as you please, and it's all free, included within your hotel stay. If your concern about staying on site is that you want to be in a villa so that you're all together, one thing to consider is that they do have linked rooms. So basically you can get 2 rooms next to each other and there is a door in between, so you don't actually have to leave the room. You can go through to each other's rooms. We have done this before and it's super cool. So if you have more than 4 people in your party but you all kind of want to be together, you can do that and those doors can stay open, which is really great, but you do have to make sure to request that for your stay. Also, often you can get a free meal plan if you stay on site. So especially if you're coming from outside the US, but even sometimes within the US, a meal plan will come included in your package. Now, if you can get the free meal plan, I would suggest potentially going for a moderate resort rather than a value, because with the value resorts, you only get breakfast included, rather than with the moderate, you get the full meal plan included. Another thing to consider is you can upgrade. So last time we went, for the first 5 days, we stayed at All Star Sports. It came with the free breakfast, but for less than the usual rate, we were able to upgrade that to the full dining plan for those 5 days. So that's something else to think about. As well, if you're staying, say, a moderate, you can upgrade to the deluxe just by paying the extra money before you go. But one thing to bear in mind is, unlike at Disneyland Paris, you can't just pay on the door the difference. If you have that meal plan, that's it. You can't change it. So if you are on the value meal plan and you want to eat at a moderate, like a table service restaurant for example, you will have to pay for that separately. It's not included within the meal plan. You can't kind of change it as you please. And one last thing to say about travel day is, do not plan things that cost you money for the first day. Even if your flight lands around 3 p.m. or even earlier, it can often take a while to get through immigration, and sometimes the Magical Express, you might have to wait for 10 to 20 minutes or so, and if you're at the last hotel that it stops at, it often goes to about 3 hotels. It might take over an hour. So you might think, oh, that'll be fine, we'll make a dining reservation for 7 o'clock. You probably will not make it, especially because you have to then check in, go to your room, sort things out, then you have to get the bus, etc. to the parks. It takes a lot longer than you might think. So I would say don't plan things that cost money for the first day. Obviously feel free to fast pass things if you fancy it, maybe like the nighttime fireworks if you want to fast pass those, because obviously if you miss it, it doesn't really make any difference. Also, if you're staying on site or off site, you can get groceries sent to the hotel. I've never done this before, so I can't really comment on it much, but I know that from Amazon and I think also Walmart, you can order food and get it delivered to Walt Disney World for a small fee. So that's something to consider if you're thinking, oh, we want some food. And also a lot of the rooms at Walt Disney World, you can get a kitchenette. So if you're thinking, oh, we want to kind of cook our own food, if you go check out one of my vlogs that has the DVC room touring, you'll be able to see the little kitchenette. I don't think it has a hob or anything or an oven, but if you just want to do simple preparation, or if you have a baby or something, then that's super useful to have as well. So if you have now decided at this point that you want to stay on site, you need to choose which hotel that you want to go to. As I mentioned before, if you are wanting to get the free dining plan, then you need to take that into consideration as well on which resort to go to. But a few other things that you might want to take into consideration are, which is your favourite park? For example, if Magic Kingdom is your favourite park, there are a few hotels around there. Yeah, if you stay at maybe one of the All Stars resorts, they're probably as far away as you can get from the Magic Kingdom. So you don't want to stay at a resort that's furthest away from your favourite park, if that matters to you. Also, you might want to consider which type of transportation is available at that hotel. So for example, at Caribbean Beach and a few others now, there is the Skyliner, but if you don't like the Skyliner, there's only buses 1 an hour. So you really need to consider whether, if you don't like the Skyliner, probably don't stay there, because it will take you a lot longer to get to your park or to get back. There is also the monorail, which goes to Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and it also goes through a couple of the resorts. So it goes through the Contemporary and also the Grand Floridian, I think. So you might want to do that. And also there are boats. So there are boats at Magic Kingdom which go to Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge, and potentially one other that I can't remember. And also there are boats at Disney Springs which go to Saratoga Springs, which we went on our last visit, and it also goes to Port Orleans, both Riverside and French Quarter I think, and it goes to Old Key West as well. So this is a side note. As I'm editing, I realised that there are also boats at Epcot which go to a few of the resorts, what I'll put on the screen now. And also you can walk between Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and there is a string of hotels along that stretch too that are easily accessible if you want to walk there, including Yacht and Beach and Boardwalk, and maybe another. I'll put that on the screen if I've forgotten as well. Now, when you decide to book all of this, I would definitely say to book it on a credit card. For example, last year Thomas Cook went bust and we had booked flights with them, but because we booked through a credit card, we managed to get all our money back. Whereas if you book on a debit card or another method of payment, you might not be guaranteed to get a refund. So definitely pay on a credit card, especially for your flights, just in case the company goes bust or anything else like that. I would say for booking the hotel, book directly WaltDisneyWorld.com. It usually has the best deals, and you know it's legit, and you know that things kind of can't go wrong. Now, if you are coming from outside of America, you will need to apply for an ESTA, which only costs $14 and it lasts for 2 years. So it's really doesn't make that much difference. You need to make sure you have one in advance of going. I think they take around 3 days to come. So obviously it's quite a quick process. Now, if you have any type of criminal record, you really need to take this into consideration. Sometimes, this has never happened to me personally, but we have known people that it has happened to, or heard stories about people that this has happened to. So if you have any criminal record at all, you need to make sure to apply well in advance. If your ESTA gets declined, you then have to apply for a full visa, which can take up to 6 months to come. So definitely make sure that you kind of think out all these things in advance if you have any criminal record. Also, when you apply for your ESTA, you need to make sure that your current passport will be the one that you are travelling on, because the ESTA is linked to the passport. So if your passport is going to run out in a few months and you're thinking, oh, I'll get my ESTA now, but then I'm going to get a new passport, you won't be able to travel as they won't be linked. When you do get your ESTA, make sure that you remember the reference number, so you can take a screenshot or write it down or anything like that, because they don't send you a confirmation email. You have to go back onto the site, enter the reference number, and it will tell you if you've been approved or not. So that is the end of part 1 of this video. I hope it was really informative and you enjoyed watching it. Make sure to stay tuned for part 2, which will be all about booking your meals and fast passes and which park to go on which day. Make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye!